Hello, this is Tony with Actively Golden. Thank you for joining me this morning, or whatever time you're watching. It's morning where I am. It's very early in the morning. I am making this video from the hotel room that we've been in the last couple of days. The lighting is not good, so that's just the reality of it. So hopefully you'll be understanding of that. But I wanted to share a brief video about my daughter's wedding. And I know that you don't know my daughter, nor are you probably that concerned about the wedding itself. The purpose of these videos obviously has to do with getting older and being active in your golden years and just finding things to do with your time and that are enjoyable and memorable and emotionally and even spiritually profitable. So I just wanted to kind of give a few thoughts on that. I decided years and years ago that the day that my daughter's wedding came, that I would do everything I could to make it as special of a day as I possibly could. I'm a minister, and I've been a minister for 30 plus years. And I always knew that I probably would do my daughter's wedding, as the officiating minister. But I shared a story during the ceremony, and I spoke it to my now son-in-law, my daughter's husband, when they came in, and he took his place there in the front of the altar. I told him a story of how when my daughter was born, the day she was born in the delivery room, how once they had taken her and cleaned her up and made sure everything was healthy and so forth, that at one point after they had given her to her mother, then they gave her over to me. And I remember sitting down in a chair in that delivery room, just literally 10 minutes after she was born. And I looked down into that beautiful face, and, obviously to me as her daddy, she was the most beautiful little girl the world had ever produced. And I know that you feel that way about your family, your children, your grandchildren, and so forth. It's just a natural thing that we all feel. And as I was holding her and looking down and holding her up close, I told her, or I was overwhelmed with a sense of responsibility and love. Obviously, I loved her before she was officially born, but now that she was in my arms, the love just exploded. And I loved her more than I ever knew that I could. And then I was just overwhelmed with this sense of responsibility that this little girl was amazingly dependent on me. And so I told the groom, his name is Blake, I told Blake, I said, Blake, I prayed for two things when I was looking in my daughter's little face. I prayed, first of all, that God would give me the ability to take care of my little girl, that I would be able to provide for her, that I would be a good daddy, that I would be able to make sure that she had everything that she needed and wanted throughout life, through her young years, and so that she wouldn't miss anything. And I told him, I said, Blake, God has answered that prayer. Kara, my daughter's name is Kara. She had a wonderful childhood and young adult life. And I said, but Blake, the second thing I prayed for was you. And he started to get tears in his eyes standing there in front of me. And I said, I didn't pray for you by name because I didn't know you. But what I mean by that is I began to pray even then. The first time I ever held my daughter in my arms, I prayed for the man that God would one day bring into her life. that would basically take over the responsibility that I've always felt to take care of her and to enhance the love of her daddy as the love of a husband. And I said, and Blake, I want you to know that I'm very proud that God has chosen you. He's answered that prayer in you. God knew all those years ago in that delivery room who my daughter's husband was going to be. And of course, I looked over at my daughter, who had never told her that story. And of course, she was crying, but also had this big smile on her face. Anyway, of course, we went through the rest of the ceremony and did the typical I do's and the sharing of the rings and the I pronounce you husband and wife and you may kiss the bride, all that stuff. And then from there we went out and of course we had the reception. And obviously you've probably been to a few weddings in your time and you know how weddings go. You know, weddings or wedding receptions after the official wedding, then the bride and groom and members of the wedding party go off for what seems like an endless time of taking pictures while the people who came to the wedding go to the reception room and wait. And so during that time, you know, I spent a lot of time just watching my little girl, who is now a wife. Just before we had walked down the aisle, as I was walking her in, she handed me a tissue, a handkerchief actually, and I'm sorry I didn't. I've already packed it. I should have. I just decided to make this video just a few moments ago, but I'll tell you what she had written on it. It said, "Daddy, we've had a lot of walks together throughout our life," which is true. We used to go on a lot of walks together, and it said, "But the walk that we take today is the one that I will remember for the rest of my life." She said, "Today I'm a bride, tomorrow I'm a wife, but I will always be your little girl." And you can tell I'm getting a lot emotional, you know, because we saw her off and came back to the room here and reminisced, obviously. But why am I telling you this? You know, I'm telling you this because life is, again, I don't ever expect to tell you anything on this channel that you don't already know. If you're actively golden, then you've experienced a lot of life. So I don't think I'm going to be teaching you anything. I think I'm just going to be sharing some things that may spark your own memories and the things that you already know. But obviously I've spent the last few hours reliving so much of my little girl's life and thanking God that I was able to provide for her, thanking God that I was here when she was married, thanking God for the man that he brought into her life, and just walking down memory lane. And as I was watching her take all those pictures in that beautiful wedding gown and dancing with her husband, there was just such a sense of joy and sadness. Sad that she's not that little girl, you know, 10 years old running around. But at the same time, a tremendous sense of joy and satisfaction. And I think the point that I really want to say to all of you is these moments, as you know, are so precious and special. Make sure that you don't let anything, because we all have our burdens and our difficulties and the stuff of life, you know. When it comes to these special moments, you know, focus 100%. Put everything else aside and focus 1,000% on that person that you came to celebrate. You know, make it a special memory for them, a special day for them, a special memory for you. And just enjoy that moment. Being actively golden has a lot to do with enjoying life. Whatever time we have, none of us know the amount of time that's left. What we do know is the moment that we're in, and my encouragement is live in this moment to the fullest and create memories and enjoy those and be a memorable type of person as well. Thank you for watching. All the best.